Welcome everyone to my Citlali kit overview. Citlali is the second upcoming 5-star in version 5.3, and in this kit overview, I will go over Citlali's kit and explain what she does, then cover her signature weapon and share some of my early thoughts on her build and potential team comps. Keep in mind that information regarding Citlali is not official, and therefore everything in this video is highly subject to change. And without further ado, let's go over her kit. Citlali is a 5-star cryo unit from Natlan. She's a shielder and has the ability to reduce hydro and pyro resistance. She wields a catalyst, scales on elemental mastery, and has an elemental mastery ascension bonus. Starting with her normal attacks, Citlali deals 3 hits of cryo damage. Her normal attacks are not a significant part of her kit. Using Citlali's skill will allow her to create a shield that scales on elemental mastery and lasts for 20 seconds. Like other cryo shielders, this shield will absorb cryo damage more efficiently, and she will also briefly apply cryo on herself. Using Citlali's skill will also allow her to deal Night Soul aligned cryo damage and summon a puppet, entering her Night Soul's blessing with 24 points. Citlali's Night Soul's blessing will last until the puppet leaves the field and has a maximum points limit of 100. If Citlali has more than 50 Night Soul points, which can be gained through her burst and passive abilities, the puppet will deal off-field cryo damage once every second and apply cryo once every 2 seconds. Citlali's puppet will consume 8 Night Soul points every second and will continue dealing damage until all Night Soul points have been depleted or 20 seconds have passed. Citlali's burst will deal an initial Ice Storm hit, dealing Night Soul aligned AoE cryo damage and restoring 24 Night Soul points. Using Citlali's skill and following it up with her burst will grant Citlali 48 points, and the other 2 points required to reach the 50-point requirement can be gained through the rest of her burst and passive abilities, making it relatively easy to activate the puppet's off-field cryo damage. As for the rest of Citlali's burst, she will summon one of 3 Spirit Vessel Skulls near opponents within her burst's AoE. If only one enemy is present, one Spirit Vessel Skull will be summoned, and up to 3 can be summoned during her burst. After a certain amount of time, the Spirit Vessel Skulls will explode, dealing Night Soul aligned cryo damage and restoring 3 Night Soul points. This burst has an energy cost of 60 and a cooldown of 15 seconds. As for her passives, Citlali's first passive will trigger while she is in her Night Soul's blessing, and a party member triggers a freeze or melt reaction, reducing the affected enemy's pyro and hydro resistance by 20% for 12 seconds. Additionally, Citlali will restore 60 Night Soul points once every 8 seconds. The resistance reduction effect will reduce both pyro and hydro resistance if either melt or freeze is triggered, but it does not reduce cryo resistance. As for her second passive, the off-field cryo damage that Citlali's puppet deals from her skill will be increased by 90% of Citlali's elemental mastery. Additionally, the initial Ice Storm damage dealt by using Citlali's burst will be increased by 1,200% of Citlali's elemental mastery. As part of this passive, Citlali will also restore 4 Night Soul points when a Night Soul burst is triggered. And as with other Natlan characters, Citlali has some of the same exploration mechanics. Being from the Masters of the Nightwind tribe, Citlali has access to the same exploration mechanics as Ororon. With that out of the way, let's go over Citlali's signature weapon, Starcaller's Watch. This weapon increases elemental mastery by 264 and has a base attack of 542. As part of the weapon's effect, elemental mastery will be increased by a further 100, bringing the total elemental mastery increase to 364. When the wielding character creates a shield, the active character will deal 28% increased damage for 15 seconds, with the effect triggering once every 14 seconds. This weapon gives a lot of elemental mastery to Citlali, and also increases the damage dealt by the active character, making it a decent weapon not only for Citlali's shield strength and damage, but also for the team's overall damage. However, there are also alternative options to consider, such as Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayers, which provides a 48% attack buff to the next active character. If you're playing Citlali with attack scaling damage dealers, this weapon can be a strong and viable alternative to consider. Overall, Citlali is a support unit who provides a shield, has strong personal damage potential, reduces pyro and hydro resistance when played in teams with characters of either element, and can also use the Hero of Cinder City set. Citlali's shielding capabilities are decent enough if you build her for elemental mastery. However, her shield is not as strong as Zhongli's shield. Compared to the other two cryo shielders, Citlali provides a stronger shield than Diona, but not as strong as Layla's shield. This is expected, as the rest of Citlali's kit does not focus on her shield, unlike Layla. However, an advantage Citlali has over Layla in defensive abilities is that her shield lasts 8 seconds longer. When compared to Zhongli, both have the same shield duration. However, Zhongli's shield is much stronger. Zhongli also provides the same resistance reduction effect, and it's unconditional as long as you have the shield up. However, Citlali has access to the Hero of Cinder City set, which can grant up to a 40% damage bonus. She can also deal more personal damage through her burst, and applies off-field cryo, enabling melt teams. As part of Citlali's second passive, the burst's initial ice storm damage will be increased by 1,200% of elemental mastery, which can allow Citlali to deal significant damage all at once, especially if it triggers a reaction like melt. Her off-field cryo will apply every 2 hits, which is every 2 seconds. While it's not the fastest, it is decent and consistent, and allows your damage dealer to trigger cryo-related reactions semi-consistently. Her burst can also apply off-field cryo. If you're playing Citlali as the only cryo character in a melt team with someone like Mavuika, the initial cryo Citlali applies should allow Mavuika to trigger melt on her burst. However, it may not be enough to consistently trigger melt on the rest of Mavuika's normal or charged attacks. Although the resistance reduction, 40% damage bonus from the Cinder City set, and the personal damage Citlali can potentially deal should more than make up for this in a solo cryo scenario. As a bonus, Citlali can also consume Night Soul points easily, like Chilonin, which should also help Mavuika stack her fighting spirit points. Playing 2 cryo units should allow your pyro damage dealer to trigger melt consistently. If you're playing hydro characters like Furina alongside Citlali and a pyro DPS, you also run the risk of freezing enemies, depleting both the cryo and hydro aura on enemies, while triggering shatter instead of vaporize or melt on your pyro DPS. Aside from pyro damage dealers, you can also play Citlali with hydro damage dealers like Mualani. However, with Mualani, you also run the risk of Citlali consuming the pyro aura on enemies, triggering melt, instead of allowing Mualani to vaporize. This is the same risk as running Furina. But aside from these little issues of running Citlali as a solo cryo unit, or alongside a hydro unit, I think Citlali will still be pretty strong regardless, especially for her supporting abilities with pyro or hydro teams. Her defensive abilities are okay, but nowhere near as strong as Zhongli's. On a personal level though, I'm a bit disappointed that she doesn't buff cryo more, but that doesn't seem to be what she's meant to do. But that's all for this kit overview. I'm excited for Citlali to be playable as a 5-star, and she's one of the characters I came to like more after doing the Archon quest. Thank you for making it to the end, and thank you for watching.